So they take me back. They took my they took my epidural out, and so it took the entire medicine out of me. I had to wait for all the medicine to kind of subside, which I had to feel 10-centimeter contractions. I was not a happy camper. I was in so much pain. So they got me back to the room in like 10 minutes. Jacob had scrubs on, but he was told to wait outside the room. There's a small little waiting area right outside the room. And they took me in. They placed the spinal. The spinal is a little bit different from an epidural. Epidural kind of numbs you from the waist down. The spinal up basically completely numbs you from the chest down. It's a little bit stronger as well than the epidural. You can't move yourself at all, whereas with the epidural I could kind of still move my legs vaguely, barely, but still could kind of feel them as well. Just a different sensation in all. The scariest part about the spinal is when it does numb you from the chest down, you are physically numb in your chest and do not feel yourself breathing. So this caused a lot of anxiety for me. Not like the anxiety, like panic attack anxiety, like I don't feel myself breathing, and so obviously not feeling yourself breathing, your brain is telling you you're not breathing. Even though you physically are, and I can see my oxygen levels at 96, I don't feel myself breathing, so I'm freaking out. I basically feel like I'm breathing, like I'm not breathing in. Really scary. So the anesthesiologist who had worked with me through my epidural, through the spinal, everything, she was amazing. She was right next to my face telling me, you are breathing, you're okay. I ended up getting an oxygen mask on, and probably 2 or 3 minutes with that on, I started to feel okay again. That was also the spinal wearing off. So because I had just got a boost of the epidural for the vacuum, the epidural and the spinal, they don't coincide very well, and can actually, from what I was told, and I could be saying this wrong, could make you stop breathing in total. They didn't want to give me a super strong dose of the spinal. They gave me a smaller dose, which then made it wear off much quicker. So by the time I could start breathing again, where I was breathing, but could feel myself breathing a little bit more, Morgan had just been born. Jacob was not in the room when he was born, because they were getting ready to intubate me because I was so panicked over the not breathing. So once I told him, I was like, I'm good, you can take the mask off. And I could hear Morgan, and I was much more calm. Jacob was brought into the room as they were stitching me up. I could feel all the stitches at the very end, which at that point, what I had just gone through was so painful that honestly the stitches didn't even hurt that bad. I mean, I had mentioned it to them, like, oh, I can feel her stitching me up. So they gave me, from what I now know, was fentanyl, but at the time just pain relievers. So all of my birthing pictures from the C-section, I am just unbelievably high. Not fun. I do not recommend. I just look ridiculously high in every single one of them. So Morgan was born. He was super healthy. They were ready to give him to Dad. Dad was sitting there with me, and they kind of just placed Morgan right in his arms. He was super nervous, but he did really good. And I got to say hello to him and give him a kiss. And then they took him to do his vaccines right away, because I was still getting stitched up. They weren't gonna do skin to skin just yet, so they said, why don't we just take him, do his vaccines, and get them out of the way. We don't have to worry about them. And then I was stitched up fully. They took all the stuff off. They put my blanket on, and they were like, are you ready for skin to skin? That's when I cried for the first time. I was so ready for skin to skin, so excited to meet him, and they placed him on my chest, and they wheeled us back to the room. And now I'm going to get into what it was like being a parent, watching Jacob become a parent, and just seeing Morgan, holding Morgan, being a parent to him.